Prince William, in his capacity as heir to the throne, has initiated formal proceedings to strip Prince Harry of his Duke of Sussex title, transferring all associated honours, properties, and financial instruments to James, Earl of Wessex, the 15-year-old son of Prince Edward.
Prince Andrew has lost all of his military titles as he faces a sexual assault lawsuit.
British monarchy has survived world wars, abdication crises, and centuries of chaos. It outlived empires, crushed rebellions, and adapted when everything around it collapsed. But tonight, something inside those palace walls has shaken even the most seasoned royal watchers. Something so legally shocking, so constitutionally explosive, that experts are already comparing it to the crisis of 1936. And this time, there is no quiet exit. This time, the monarchy is striking back with calculated, precise force. Prince William has done what no royal was ever expected to do. He has moved formally, legally, and permanently to strip his own brother, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, of his title. Not rumors, not pressure behind closed doors, this is documented legal action, built on constitutional mechanisms that haven't been used since World War I. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. The title isn't being erased. It's being handed to a 15-year-old boy, James, Earl of Wessex. A teenager who has lived quietly, far from headlines, suddenly pushed into the center of the most dramatic royal shakeup in modern history. And somehow the biggest question is barely being asked. Was this a reaction or was this always the plan? Because when you break down the timeline, this doesn't look impulsive, it looks strategic. A long-term constitutional move carefully built over 18 months, waiting for the perfect moment. And that moment came in Sydney, March 2026. You're only seeing the surface. Because what happened in Australia wasn't one mistake, it was a chain reaction. 8 separate categories of actions that palace officials are quietly calling the most serious breach of royal protocol since 1936. Category 1. Unauthorized diplomacy. In March 2026, Harry traveled to Sydney, described publicly as a private visit. It wasn't. Within hours, he was inside Kirribilli House, meeting Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for 90 minutes. No notice to the Foreign Office, no approval from Buckingham Palace, no coordination with British officials. Leaked transcripts suggest Harry proposed acting as a special envoy for Commonwealth relations, basically positioning himself as a freelance royal voice. That directly contradicts the Sandringham Agreement he signed in 2020. This wasn't casual. This was a deliberate attempt to step back into influence without permission. Category 2. Security breakdown. Harry's protection wasn't handled through official channels, and his private team failed to coordinate with Australian authorities. Experts say there was a 7-hour window where he was effectively unprotected in a foreign country. 7 hours, unmonitored, untracked during an active political debate about the monarchy itself. Category 3. Financial questions. Records show Harry received a $250,000 speaking fee during the trip. That money wasn't clearly declared and was routed through a U.S.-registered company, raising tax concerns across multiple countries. Whether intentional or careless, it raises serious issues about accountability tied to a royal title. Category 4. Protocol violations. At a veterans event, Harry wore military decorations he is no longer authorized to display. His honorary rolls were removed in 2020, and officials reportedly described this as unauthorized use, not a mistake. That moment alone raised a major question. Is he truly stepping away or still holding on to royal identity publicly? Category 5. Media strategy. Coverage of the trip was prearranged with major American networks, presenting it like an official royal visit, while British media was shut out. 2 narratives were pushed at once, one suggesting authority, the other claiming privacy. The palace noticed and documented every move. Category 6. Institutional criticism. At a private dinner, Harry was recorded without knowing. What he said behind closed doors was described as deeply critical of the monarchy, suggesting it was failing and needed radical change. Those words in that setting crossed a line the palace could not ignore. Category 7. Commercial overlap. Promotional material tied to his projects reportedly used images from the trip, in a way that blurred the line between private work and royal duty. That kind of confusion benefits branding, but damages institutional clarity. Category 8. The most explosive. A private meeting with representatives of the Australian Republican movement. Reports say Harry expressed understanding of their position, that the future of the Commonwealth should be voluntary, not inherited. From the palace's perspective, that moment shut the door on reconciliation completely. Each of these alone is serious, but together they form a pattern. A documented sequence across 8 days that built a case almost by itself. This wasn't stretched. This was assembled from real events, step by step. Now here's where things shift from drama to real constitutional history. The question isn't just what Harry did, it's whether William had the power to act. According to senior legal experts, the answer is yes, but carefully. The case rests on 3 legal foundations. First, the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, used during wartime to strip titles from those acting against national interests. Palace advisors argue that engaging with movements opposing the monarchy could fall under that scope. Second, remaining provisions of older royal statutes that still give the sovereign influence over family roles and conduct, especially when it comes to public representation. Third, the Crown's authority over titles themselves. Because royal titles aren't owned personally, they're granted and can be reassigned. And here's the boldest move. William isn't just removing the title, he's transferring it. Using an old doctrine, the title moves directly to James instead of disappearing. That avoids legal complications and keeps the structure intact. This isn't random, it's precise. And the timeline proves it. This didn't start in Australia, it started months earlier. Late 2025, the palace was already tracking Harry's plans. Meetings were held, legal opinions requested, government conversations quietly happening before the trip even began. By the time Harry arrived in Sydney, monitoring was active. Every meeting, every speech, every move, recorded and analyzed in real time. Within days of his return, emergency meetings were called, legal strategies finalized. By April, formal steps were already underway. 18 months of preparation, executed step by step. And at the center of it all, a 15-year-old boy. James, Earl of Wessex, now becomes the new Duke of Sussex. Our teenager who lived privately, raised away from pressure, now stepping into one of the most debated roles in the royal system. The financial side is massive. Millions in assets, property shifts, structured funds, all moving under his name. But he won't control it yet. His father will manage it until adulthood. Still, the bigger weight isn't money, it's history. He inherits not just a title, but a conflict. A story filled with tension, public debate, and family division. And that division doesn't end here. Harry's children will one day understand what happened, that a title tied to their father was reassigned within the family. That kind of shift doesn't disappear. It echoes. Now looking ahead, 5 possible outcomes are already being discussed. 1. Harry steps back completely. Unlikely. 2. Legal battle. Very possible, even if success is uncertain. 3. Quiet compromise behind the scenes. 4. The most likely, full separation, both sides moving forward independently. 5. A rare reconciliation triggered by personal circumstances. Each path changes the monarchy in a different way. Because this isn't just about one title, it's about power. For the first time, an heir, not a reigning monarch, has driven a move of this scale. If it holds, it changes the balance inside the royal system permanently. Future heirs could act before taking the throne, not just wait. That's a major shift. And across the Commonwealth, the message is clear. There will not be competing royal voices. One line, one structure, one authority. That message has already been heard globally. And then there's King Charles. He approved this, but William led it. Every key step points back to him. That raises a bigger question. Where does guidance end and leadership begin? Because what we're seeing may not just be action. It may be transition happening in real time. Right now, everything depends on what happens next. The Privy Council decision expected soon could lock this in permanently. Harry's response will shape the next phase: silence, legal challenge, or escalation. Behind the scenes, decisions are already being made that will define the next chapter. Not just for one family, but for the monarchy itself. And one question remains louder than ever. Was this justice or something else entirely? Because history has shown, institutions don't always know the difference. One thing is certain. The title has moved, the process is in motion, and the royal family as the world knew it has changed, possibly for good. Subscribe to Monarchy Cup.